Hello, everyone. Welcome to my presentation on MBA and MPA degrees. I just want to say thank you for coming to this presentation. My name is Dr. Felix Quayson, and I'm here to teach you about the historical analysis of the MBA and the MPA degree. So when I say MBA, MBA stands for the Masters of Business Administration degree, and also the MPA stands for Master of Public Administration degree. So let's get right into this presentation. Now, let me give you a little bit about the historical references when it comes to the MBA degree. So let's go on a timeline here. In 1881, the University of Pennsylvania, which is UPenn, forms the Wharton School of Business. And that was the first world collegiate business school that provided business education. Now, fast forward a couple of years into 1900, 1900, Dartmouth College established the Tuck School of Business, which was the first school of business that conferred the first advanced degree in business, okay? Which was the Master of Science in Commerce. So the Master of Science in Commerce was the degree that was being conferred to graduates before the MBA came into the picture. Now, the MBA was created by Harvard Graduate School of Business. And we will get into it, how they ended up creating the MBA degree. So the Master of Science in Commerce, which was the degree that was being conferred by Dartmouth College, okay, was created in response to explosive growth in the U.S. commerce and industry. Now, a couple of years, 8 years, within the same decade, 8 years, 1881, UPenn creates the World Collegiate Business School. 1900, Dartmouth College creates the Tuck School of Business, which was conferring the Master of Science in Commerce, which was a degree that was being conferred before the MBA degree. Now, in 1908, the world's first MBA program was established at the Harvard Graduate School of Business Administration, which is now the Harvard Business School. And when it was established, it had only 15 faculty members and 33 regular students and 47 special students enrolled. Now, in 1948, Canada's top CEOs and company presidents met at a Western university in Ontario, Canada, and determined the need for a National School of Business Administration in Canada. So in 1908, Harvard Graduate School of Business creates the world's first MBA program in the United States. In 1948, Canada's top CEOs and company presidents meet at Western University in Ontario to determine the need for a National School of Business Administration in Canada. Now, as a result, the school creates the first MBA program outside of the United States. So in 1948, Canada creates its first MBA program outside of the United States, graduating its inaugural class of MBAs 2 years later in 1950. Now, in 1957, Europe's first MBA program is created by the European Institute for Business Administration, now known only as INSEAD, INSEAD. I hope I'm pronouncing it correct. Which currently has campuses in France, Singapore, and Abu Dhabi, Dubai. Okay. In 1964, the University of Chicago's Booth School of Business becomes the first business school to establish a minority relations program in business education. In 1968, Florida Atlantic University launches its first MBA program, which was open to working professionals. And in 1974, behind the Iron Curtain, AGH University of Science and Technology in Poland creates an MBA program. So in 1957, Europe creates its first MBA program in France. Fast forward 1974, Poland creates its country's first MBA program. In 1977, Florida Atlantic University begins offering what is called the Executive MBA program, which is the EMBA. That's the acronym. In the year 2000, Florida Atlantic University introduces its MBA program in sports management as one of its executive business education programs. Now, initially, the MBA program was designed to provide advanced training in management and organizational practices. The MBA has evolved, just like every other degree evolves. It has evolved to become a popular graduate degree in the world. Now, in 1908, Harvard creates the first business school. And why did they create the first MBA degree? Not business school, sorry, not business school, but the first MBA degree in the world. Why did they create that? They created that in response to the growing need for trained business leaders who could manage the complexities of large-scale organizations during the Industrial Revolution era. So the creation of the MBA was driven by the increasing demand for managers who could oversee the operations of expanding companies. Okay, so the creation of the MBA degree was driven by the demand for managers who could oversee the operations of expanding companies. Now, Harvard's MBA was the first program to formalize business education. And how did they do that? So they blended theoretical knowledge with practical skills. And it quickly gained popularity as business realized the value of hiring managers with strategic and managerial expertise. So the MBA degree that Harvard created in the world, the first one, gained popularity, and it became a business value degree because of hiring managers who had strategic and managerial expertise. Now, how did MBA become a popular degree? We've already established that, but let's go into it in more details. So throughout the 20th century, the demand for the MBA degree really soared all over the world, okay? Particularly in the post-World War II era, when businesses expanded globally and markets became more competitive. So the MBA grew in popularity because it provided professionals or working professionals with a structured way to learn the advanced skills that was needed to lead organizations and make strategic decisions and manage complex operations in the business environment. So what curriculum methods are used in MBA education? And I want to touch a little bit on that. So in today's MBA across the world, you will see that most MBA curriculum are delivered in case study method. And I want to point it out to you that the case study method was actually pioneered by the Harvard Graduate School of Business Administration, which is now Harvard Business School. And the case study method is basically the approach to teaching that involves analyzing real world cases and scenarios and issues in the business environment. Okay, so they give you a real world business scenario to develop problem solving skills and learn from past successes and failures. So your professor will give you a case study and to come up with the problems and also to come up with the problem solving skills that will help elevate that particular case. So that is particularly the case study method. I particularly tend to like this case study method because I use it as part of my teaching approach. Now, another curriculum method that world business schools use is called the team projects. So the team projects basically is a collaborative experiences that stimulate real world business environments where leadership, communication, teamwork become essential, okay, for success. So students often work together in complex business problems, and they come up with a sense of friendship, relationship building, and they sharpen their interpersonal skills. So if you go for any job interview, one of the skills that they're going to ask you, or one of the skills that your employer is actually looking forward to having in you, is the interpersonal skills. So the team project approach to the business curriculum really fosters and it sharpens students or professionals' interpersonal skills. Now, what are the subjects that anyone can get an MBA degree in? And it's very interesting. So, MBA grew out of 1908 from Harvard. They created it and it became a valued business degree. And now MBAs have expanded to different subjects matter experts. It has actually spread out to different domains and skill set. And here are the subject areas or the working areas that someone can actually get an MBA degree in. Anyone can get an MBA degree or business training in finance, in healthcare, in marketing, in operations, technology, information technology. Now, there's been a lot of talk about artificial intelligence, AI, operations, sports management. You can get an MBA in that, project management, entrepreneurship, and strategy and innovation. So these are some of the named subjects that you can get your MBA degree from or in as a subject. Now, these courses gives students really a comprehensive understanding of how various aspects of a business function. So if you are solely focused on marketing, it gives you the aspects of how marketing can function in the business environment and what are the challenges and how to address challenges in each specific skill domain. Okay, so the goal is to develop well-rounded professionals. So if you really want to earn an MBA, the goal is just like any other master's degree or any other doctorate. The goal is to develop you to become a well-rounded professional who can think strategically and lead organizations effectively. Now, what is the executive MBA? Remember, I talked to you about Florida Atlantic University starting an executive MBA degree program. So what exactly is the executive MBA degree? So initially, the MBA was a traditional campus-based 2-year degree program. But over the years, it has diversified into various formats to meet the changing needs of students and businesses organizations. Now, the Executive MBA, which has the acronym of EMBA, was introduced for mid-career professionals who wanted to advance their careers without leaving their jobs. Okay. And it offered flexible scheduling and a curriculum tailored to up and coming business leaders with extensive experiences. So, meaning professionals who were mid-career to senior level and who had extensive experiences in the business world. This was the degree that was created for them as the Executive MBA degree. Now, what are the delivery options for MBA degree programs? So there are part-time MBAs. You can get a part-time, you can go to school and earn your MBA part-time on a part-time basis. And those part-time MBA really emerged to accommodate working professionals, just like the Executive MBA accommodated those with extensive experiences. Um, the part-time MBA emerged to accommodate working professionals who couldn't commit to a full-time program. Okay. So the business world was giving flexibility to professionals to be able to earn their business administration degree. Now, these part-time programs really allow students to balance work, family, and study, making the MBA more accessible to them. Okay. And in recent years, we have what has emerged as the online MBA, and online MBA and part-time MBA have its own rankings, okay, by the U.S. News and World Report and other ranking organizations. So in recent years, the online MBA has become popular, okay, because it offers flexibility for students worldwide. With advancements in online learning technologies, such as educational technologies or learning management systems, the fully online MBA programs have grown in quality and credibility, okay, which provides the same rigorous education as the traditional MBAs. So one of the things that some business schools do is those who go in person, who has the opportunity to learn in person, they allow the professors to record whatever is being taught to the in-person students or professionals, and they create an online version of that same program, allowing professionals or the online students to be able to see what went on in the classroom, what was said, what questions were being asked, what learning experiences were being explored. So that allows the online students or the non-traditional students to be able to learn the same skills or understand the same concepts that was being conveyed by their professor as the traditional MBA programs were in person. So that's some of the strategy that some business schools use. They allow their professors to record. Others don't do that. Others have different formats where they actually have faculty members dedicated to online MBA and dedicated to part-time MBA. Some don't have the budget, so they allow their MBA in-person professors to record, and then they put that on the LMS like Canvas, Desire to Learn, D2L, and other, LMS, which allowed online students to be able to learn the same thing that in-person students really learn. Now, what are the trends in MBA education? So we have personalized learning. So MBA programs offer customizable curriculums that allow students to really tailor their education to specific career goals. Okay, so an MBA, some students may choose like a general MBA track, but they can cherry pick different courses that they really like to help them develop their career field or their career interest. And then we have the global perspective, okay? So the global perspective really allows or put an emphasis on international business and global leadership. So those that are caught up in that global perspective trends and are interested in doing an MBA, put a lot of emphasis on international business and global leadership, which really offers a way to connect the nature of today's economy. And then there is sustainability and ethics. Okay. Many MBA programs now include courses on corporate responsibility and sustainability as businesses face mounting pressures to operate ethically. Okay. And entrepreneurship focus. So startups and innovations are more prominent in today's world. If you go to Silicon Valley, you're going to see a lot of startup companies. If you go to China, if you go to Singapore, if you go to Europe, so if you go to Africa, so there's a lot of startup companies and innovators that are around in today's market. So they are the entrepreneurs of the business world, and an MBA program in entrepreneurship focus really are responding with a greater focus on entrepreneurship for anyone, for professional students who want to go into that career field or traction. And then you have MBAs that are trending in technology integration. Like I said, now we have data analytics, AI, artificial intelligence is becoming very popular. So several schools have started offering an MBA in artificial intelligence. Several schools in the US and also in Europe and also in Asia are offering artificial intelligence MBA degrees. And digital transformation really becomes the core part of those pursuing the MBAs in that kind of trend. So the MBA curriculum ensures that graduates for the technology integration are really prepared for the digital age. Now, so the MBA has become the most popular graduate degree in America since 2010 to 2011. So the year of 2010 and 2011, they did a survey and they found out that the MBA degree has actually surpassed the master's degree in education as the number one choice for graduate students. So slightly more than 250,000 students are enrolled in MBA programs around the world, according to the AACSB, which is one of the business schools accreditation. Okay. Now, the latest number from the Association to Advanced Collegiate Schools of Business, which is the AACSB, remember, I said is one of the accreditors for business education. Now, the primary accreditor of business schools finds that, so AACSB finds that 250,389 students were studying for an MBA worldwide during the 2020-2021 academic year. And what was the world event? The COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the majority of those students, out of that 250,389 students, 155,996 students were studying at a US-based business schools. Okay, so if you do the math, the majority of business students or professionals or graduates are based in the United States. Now, the MBA degree accounts for 2/3 of all graduate business degrees in the US. So, of all the business degrees, the bachelor's, the master's, the doctorates, the DBA, which stands for the Doctor of Business Administration, the MBA degree specifically accounts for 2/3 of all graduate business degrees in the US. So basically, America invented the MBA, and America has the highest concentration of students pursuing the MBA. And in 2011 to 2012, about 156,400 students were enrolled in US MBA programs. Now, outside the US, you had 110,000 two students who were enrolled in an MBA program. outside of the US. So that those statistics still shows that majority of the MBA graduates or students are still in the US. Now, there are a doctor of business administration degree, like I alluded to you earlier. Um, and also there's a degree called Executive Doctor of Business Administration. So you have the DBA and the EDBA, and then they're also considered on par with the PhD. So the PhD is more theoretical, academic research degree that is pursued by those who want to go on to become professors to create new knowledge in the industry, in the field. That's what the PhD in business education is for. And they are considered to be on par with the PhD. So the Doctor of Business Administration, the DBA, and the Executive Doctor of Business Administration. Now, this is one of my favorite part. Now, let's talk about the accreditation of the business education world. There are three top accrediting agencies for MBA programs. The first one is what I mentioned to you, the AACSB, which stands for the Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business. And it was founded in 1916. And currently it is considered to be the golden standard of the MBA accreditation of business education. Okay, and then you have the Accreditation Council for Business Schools and Programs, which the acronym stands for ACBSP, which was also founded in 1988. And then you have the International Accreditation Council for Business Education. The acronym for that is IACBE, and that was founded in 1997. Now let's go a little bit detailed into the three top accrediting agencies for business education. Now, the AACSB, which is considered the gold standard, the Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business, is the gold standard of business accreditation. Now, the organization only accredits fewer than 5% of eligible MBA programs. So it is a tough thing to really seek accreditation from the AACSB accrediting agency. Now, marking out most of the elite programs conferring MBA degrees. So you have schools like Harvard, University of Pennsylvania, which is UPenn, Northwestern University, University of Chicago, okay? So the AACSB, since it was founded in 1916, is the oldest and most prestigious out of the three MBA accrediting agencies. Now, you have the Harvard of the world, the UPenn of the world, the Northwestern, the University of Chicago. These are the schools that founded the Association of Collegiate Schools of Business. So they founded that accreditation agency. And these schools are still run as the top MBA programs in the nation, in the US. And your main reason for founding the AACSB is to promote excellence in business education. Now, let's move on to the second founded business accrediting agency, which is Accreditation Council for Business Schools and Programs, ACBSP. Now, ACBSP follows a student-centered, teaching and learning approach to ensure that students gain the appropriate skills from their chosen degree program. Okay, so the ACBSP accredited MBA programs really measure and certify the quality of student learning as well as the outcome for graduate programs, okay? Also, this particular accreditation, the ACBSP, grants accreditation to institutions that demonstrate their teaching excellence, showing strong learning outcomes, and follow models for continuous improvement. If you have heard a little bit about the Baldrige framework of excellence, the continuous improvement, I think a little bit of that is what, most of that is what the Accreditation Council for Business Schools and Programs really use in the accreditation process. And that was founded in 1988. And now let's move on to the third accreditation agency. Now, the third accreditation agency was founded in what? 1997. And it's known as the International Accreditation Council for Business Education, IACBE. Now, the IACBE evaluates programs according to the philosophy that excellence in education can be measured by comparing a program's mission to its educational outcomes. So the agency, this particular agency, tends to focus on smaller private institutions. Now, for any of the smaller private institutions or for any institution who wants to seek the IACBE accreditation in business education, to earn the accreditation, programs undergo an independent external evaluation process designed to measure effectiveness. Now, the IACBE reviews a program's teaching and learning methods as well as its results. So if you want to choose a business or an MBA degree to pursue, it's really up to you of what you really want from your MBA. The AACSB deals more with research and student learning outcomes. The ACBSP deals more with program outcomes, such as student-centered teaching and learning approach. The IACBE tends to focus more on the measuring of effectiveness of student learning or educational outcomes. Now let's move on to the MPA degree program. The MPA stands for the Master of Public Administration degree. Now here's a little bit about the history of the MPA degree. Now the first master's degree program in public administration was really established at the University of Michigan in 1914 as part of the Department of Political Science. Now, the goal was to improve efficiency in municipal government and to eliminate corruptions. Now, the program was developed by the department chair at that time, Jesse Reeves, or Jesse S. Reeves, who later served as the technical advisor to the League of Nations Hague Conference in 1930. Now, the program has since expanded to a full graduate school known as the Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy. And Gerald Ford was one of the US presidents. He was a vice president and then became a president. So they named their public policy or public administration school after a president of the United States. So remember that in 1908, the MBA program really started at Harvard. Now the Master of Public Administration program started what? In 1914 at which school? The University of Michigan. Now, the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University and the Woodrow Wilson School of Government at Princeton University were founded in the middle of the Great Depression as part of a broader move to give government and social services a scientific and professional grounding. Now, the New Deal programs, as part of the President Franklin Roosevelt, significantly increased the scope of the U.S. government and its programs, creating a need for skilled professional managers. So as the United States continued to expand through the Great Depression and the President Roosevelt's vision and mission came to fruition, it created the need for more skilled and professional managers. So the MPA really became a popular degree. So what is the Master of Public Administration? I've already alluded to you that MPA stands for the Master of Public Administration, and it's a master's degree in public affairs. Now, an MPA degree really prepares recipients to serve in executive position in municipal, state, and federal government and non-governmental organization, which the acronym stands for NGOs. Okay, so the Master of Public Administration, the MPA degree, is the public sector equivalent of an MBA. So the MBA is more corporate, so it's the private sector. Now, the MPA, the Master of Public Administration, is the public sector degree, just like the MBA is the private sector business degree. Now, MPA graduates will often find jobs in upper level management positions. If you are interested in working globally, an MPA is a good choice for you, depending on your subject, your career interests, and everything that comes into it. Now, an MPA degree is a master's degree in public affairs that prepares recipients of the degree to serve in managerial or executive level government positions and non-governmental organizations. Now, let's understand the MPA degree a little bit, shall we? The MPA degree is considered the public sector equivalent to the MBA degree in the private sector. It is also closely related to the more theoretical master's degree in public policy, which is the MPP degree, Master's in Public Policy degree. Now, you will see if you're looking or searching for an MPA degree, you often find that the same school or other schools are also offering MPP degrees, just like University of Michigan offers MPA, they also offer MPP degrees. So you may be confused and say, what is the difference? Isn't it the same thing? Well, let me tell you the difference. The MPP degree, which is the Master of Public Policy degree, focuses more on policy analysis and design, while the MPA focuses on program implementation. Okay, so those are the difference. The MPP degree focus more on public policy analysis and design. The MBA program focuses more on public policy and program implementation. So many graduate schools will offer a combined J.D., which is a Juris Doctorate, and it's also considered a law degree here in the U.S. In order for you to practice law, you need the J.D. degree, and you need to pass a state bar exam. So some schools have a joint or combined degree with J.D. and MPA, or J.D. and MPP degree, or MBA and MPA degree, or MBA and MPP degree. Which, I mean, those programs really focuses on the principles of public administration, public policy development and management, and implementation of policies. It also prepares those who will graduate those degrees to deal with specific challenges faced in public administration. Now, what is taught in an MPA? That's an interesting question. What is taught in an MPA? You might be wondering. An MPA program often consists of coursework in law, international affairs, political theory, urban planning and administration, nonprofit organizations, public service leadership, among other. You can find some in the financial markets, economics, and so forth, public policy law, and so forth. Now, how many years does it take to get an MPA degree? It usually takes 2 years to earn an MPA degree, which is the Master of Public Administration, just like it takes 2 years to earn an MBA if you do it full-time. And it would take you 2 years to earn an MPA degree if you do it full-time. So some programs offer qualified and motivated students the options to complete an MBA or an MPA degree in just 1 year. So if you have extensive experiences, if you have some credits that have been used towards another degree, you may shorten your years of studying for an MPA degree in just 1 year. Most programs require 2 years of completion, like I told you before. Some executive MPA programs is designed for experienced mid-career professionals which can also be completed in 1 year, just like the MBA now have the executive MBA, the executive DBA. There's also programs such as the executive MPA programs, and it's designed for experienced mid-career professionals, and those can be completed in 1 year. And also, a limited number of programs grant the Doctor of Public Administration degree, so the DPA. Just like the business administration, the Doctor of Business Administration, the DPA, the just like the Doctor of Business Administration, the DBA, the Doctor of Public Administration, the DPA, is a terminal degree, usually intended for research. Okay. You will also find that some schools have the Doctor of Public Policy. That is also intended for research. And the DPA is also considered on par with the Ph.D. degree, or someone who has a Ph.D. Now, let's look into the career applications for MPA degrees. Now, graduates with an MPA degree are primed for leadership roles or managerial roles within private, public, and nonprofit agencies. Those who earn an MPA are often well-rounded in various areas, including policy, law, business, finance, and management. Often, I would say that those who are newly MPA graduates start as policy analysts, researchers, grant writers, and program managers. But these entry-level positions you might think is entry-level really become the executive positions in the long term. So for those with experience and an MPA, there's a likelihood of being directed or directly hired at a senior level. Okay, so because MPA graduates usually possesses a keen knowledge or understanding of public policy and public affairs, plus an understanding of policies and how it impact businesses and economics, there are plenty of jobs opportunities in private and the nonprofit sectors for MPA graduates. So having an MPA offers you the opportunity to work with human rights groups, if that is your career interest, schools, nonprofit medical centers, charitable organizations, the NGOs, public media, such as the radio broadcasting, development groups, and international organizations, just to name a few career paths. Now, if you are trying to decide between the MPA and the MBA, which I title it MPA versus MBA, trying to decide between getting an MPA, which is the Master of Public Administration, versus an MBA degree, which is the Master of Business Administration, really will depend on whether you prefer studying business or public policy. Although there is some crossover, okay, because most graduates with an MBA work in finance in the private sector, and MPA graduates often end up in executive roles in nonprofits and government. So an MBA graduate don't usually work on the policy side of finance and economics. So in contrast, an MPA holder may work in the private sector, studying the policies behind financial markets and why they succeed or fail. So MPAs tend to work in organizations focused on improving the world, like nonprofits or non-governmental organizations, NGOs. Now, both the MPA and the MBA holders may find work abroad and will have most likely earn the credentials to work for global companies. Neither is a better degree than the other, and both can be useful in many different industries and job markets. So if you're thinking maybe, if you're talking down on the MPA because you think the MBA is the right degree for you, or you are talking down on the MBA because you think the MPA is the right degree for you, you got news. Neither is a better degree than the other, and both can be useful in many different industries and job markets. So while it's difficult to pinpoint an exact global number of people with MPA degrees, a significant portion of the workforce in public administration and social services holds such degrees, with the number growing steadily. Okay, so the numbers of people in the workforce with public administration and social services degrees are growing steadily. Okay. So now let's look at some numbers, just like we did with the MBA. Let's look at the MPA numbers. So the number of public administration and social service graduates in the workforce has been growing at a rate of 1.96%. So if you look at that from in the year 2021, we had about 800,167 professionals in the workforce who were under public administration and social services. And now, fast forward a year later in 2022, that number grew at a rate of 1.96% to 815,828 professionals. So if you really look at it, the data USA gave us this number, okay? The total public administration degrees awarded in 2022 was actually 16,043 degrees, which is declining about 5.1%. So there aren't a lot of people who are pursuing the MPA degrees, just like a lot of people are pursuing the MBA degrees in 250,000, right? That same number cannot be said, be said of the public administration degree, because according to Data USA number in 2022, only 16,043 students or graduates degrees were awarded, which is a decline in about 5.1%. So there are different acronyms in the master in the public administration world. You can have a BS, which is a bachelor's degree in Bachelor of Science in public administration, Bachelor's of Arts in public administration, Bachelor of Science in public policy, and then you have the MPA degree, the MPP, which stands for the Master of Public Policy. Then you have the Doctor of Public Administration. And then you have the DPP, which stands for the Doctor of Public Policy. And then you have the PhD. The PhDs in Public Policy and Administration, or Public Policy and Political Economy, so Public Policy and Political Science, are all accredited by NASPA. So NASPA stands for the Network of Schools of Public Policy Affairs and Administration. So far, that's the only accreditation that I've known or read about or researched about that accredits public administration degree programs or public administration education programs. And here are my references. So thank you all for listening to my presentation, and I look forward to answering all of your questions via email, via text, via phone calls. Thank you, and have an awesome day.